Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
This video is about how we should actually learn. In it, we will apply the most effective techniques developed by respected and world-famous Harvard University professors, Henry L. Roediger, Mark A. McDaniel, and Peter C. Brown. Together, they wrote a book called Make It Stick. This book immediately became a success and completely changed the lives of millions of students, and it will change yours. It has two main ideas. One is a bit negative, and the other is positive. The negative idea is that the way you study now almost certainly isn't right. I'll show you why in a minute. Lots of studies have looked at learning, and we understand it quite well. There are ways of learning that anyone can use. These ways can really help you learn much better. They've tested these methods on people, and they've helped students who weren't doing well become much better. All these methods are in this book, and we're going to tell you about them in this video. That's a quick summary of the book. What everyone likes about this book is that absolutely everything it says is based on science, not just someone's opinions or stories. So you can be sure it has good reasons behind it. But first, let's just take a second to have a closer look now and see what learning methods you or people you know might be using that don't really work. Remember how you, or maybe your classmates, would highlight things in a book? Well, I'm afraid that both of you are just wasting your time because it doesn't work. Okay. Did your teacher say that in order to remember new things, you should reread them again and again? Sounds logical, right? Well, it only sounds that way, but it doesn't work either. And these are just a few examples that not only you, but almost everyone uses and thinks are useful. These methods don't work because they just make you feel like you know the words, but you don't really understand the ideas. Reading something again and again makes you familiar with the book and how it's written. You know the words, and it feels like you understand the topic, but you don't really. So, these methods not only don't work, but they can actually be bad for your learning. Luckily, science and this book also have answers for this, and this video will help you understand these skills and how to use them to become a better English learner. We will explore ways to test yourself, practice in different ways, and understand that learning can be something that you really enjoy. Let's start this journey of learning English together and discover the right ways to reach your goals. Test yourself to learn better. What is testing yourself? When we say test yourself in learning English, we don't mean big exams. We mean something much smaller and more helpful. Testing yourself is like asking yourself questions about what you are learning. It's about checking if you remember new words or grammar rules. Imagine you learn some new words today, like happy, excited, and joyful. To test yourself, you can close your book and try to remember them. You can ask yourself, what were those 3 words for feeling good? That's testing yourself. Why is testing better than just reading again? Many students learn English by reading their books or notes again and again. This seems easy. You read it, and it feels like you know it. But feeling like you know something is not the same as really knowing it. Reading again and again is like reading the words in sand. Easy now, but gone soon. Testing yourself is different. It's harder work, but it's much better for your memory. When you test yourself, you are making your brain work to find the answer. This work makes your memory stronger. It's like exercise for your brain. Think about learning names. If you just hear someone's name once, you might forget it quickly. But if you try to remember their name a few minutes later, and then again later in the day, you are more likely to remember it for a long time. Testing helps you pull the information out of your brain, and this pulling makes the memory stronger. Examples of testing yourself. There are many easy ways to test yourself in English. Flashcards. Write a new word on one side and its meaning or a sentence using it on the other. Look at the word side and try to remember the meaning. Then check if you are right. Remember without looking. After reading a page of your book, close it. Try to say the main ideas in your own words. What examples can you remember? Ask yourself questions. If you learn a grammar rule, make up some example sentences and check if they are correct. If you learn about a story, ask yourself questions about the characters or what happened. Use online quizzes. Many websites and apps have quizzes for English learning. These can be a fun way to test your knowledge. Testing makes your memory stronger. Testing yourself is like checking if a bridge is strong. Imagine you build a bridge of words in your brain when you learn English. If you just look at the bridge, it might seem strong. But if you test it by walking on it, asking yourself questions, you will know if it is really strong or not. If it's not strong, you know where to make it better. Testing helps you find the weak parts of your word bridge, so you can fix them. When you get a question right, it shows that part of your bridge is strong. When you get a question wrong, it shows you where you need to study more. Testing can be fun. Testing yourself doesn't have to be boring. You can make it like a game. Use flashcards with a friend and test each other. Try to remember words while you are walking or waiting for the bus. You can even make a game of trying to remember grammar rules. Think of it like a video game. In a game, you test yourself all the time to get to the next level. You try, you maybe make mistakes, but you learn and get better. Testing yourself in English is the same. It helps you learn from your mistakes and get better and better. So, remember to test yourself to learn English better. It's harder than just reading again, but it's much more helpful. It makes your memory stronger, and it can even be fun. Start testing yourself today, and you will see how much better you can learn English. Practice in different ways. Imagine you are learning to play a musical instrument, like a guitar. Would you only practice one song over and over again? Probably not. To become a good guitar player, you need to learn many things. You need to learn chords, scales, and different songs. You need to practice playing fast and slow. You need to learn to play different types of music. Learning English is similar. It's not helpful to just do one type of practice all the time. If you only read English books again and again, you might not become good at speaking or writing. To really learn English well, you need to practice in different ways. Mix your practice. Think about your English studies. Maybe you usually spend a lot of time reading grammar rules, or maybe you only try to learn new words from lists. These ways are okay, but they are not the best if you do them all the time. It is better to mix your practice. For example, one day you can study new words, use flashcards, or try to remember words from a list. The next day, you can work on grammar. Do exercises in a grammar book, or try to write sentences using new grammar rules. After that, you can practice speaking. Talk to a friend in English, or try to describe a picture in English. When you mix your practice, you learn English in a more complete way. You don't just become good at one thing, like reading. You become better at all parts of English: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. It can feel a little harder when you change between different types of practice. But this little bit of difficulty is actually good for your learning. Spaced practice. Another important idea is spaced practice. This means that you don't practice everything all at once. Instead, you practice a little bit today, then again tomorrow, and then again a few days later. Imagine you have a test next week. Many students will study everything the night before the test. This is called massed practice, or cramming. It might seem like a good idea because you study for a long time, but it is not the best way to learn and remember. Spaced practice is better. Instead of studying everything the night before, study a little bit each day in the week before the test. For example, you can study new words for 30 minutes today. Then, tomorrow, you can review those words for 15 minutes and study grammar for 30 minutes. The next day, you can practice speaking for 30 minutes and review the words and grammar again for a short time. Spaced practice helps you remember better because you are not trying to learn everything at once. When you practice a little bit over time, your brain has time to remember the information. It's like planting seeds in a garden. You don't plant all the seeds in one day. You plant few seeds each week so that they have time to grow. Like learning a sport. Think about learning a sport, like tennis. If you want to be a good tennis player, you need to practice many different skills. You need to practice your serve, your forehand, your backhand, and your volley. You also need to practice moving around the court and playing games. You would not only practice your serve for hours every day. That would not be a good way to learn tennis. You need to mix your practice and practice different skills. You also need to practice regularly, not just for one long time before a game. Learning English is like learning tennis. Change the way you practice. Mix different types of practice, like words, grammar, and speaking. And use spaced practice. Practice a little bit regularly, over time. This will help you learn English better and remember it for longer. Don't just practice one thing for a long time. Practice English in different ways. Learning can be hard work. Learning English can be fun, but sometimes it is also hard work. You might think that if learning is easy, it is good. But that is not always true. When learning is a little difficult, it can actually be better for you in the long run. Think about exercise. If you want to get stronger, you need to lift weights that are heavy for you. If you only lift very light weights, it is easy, but you don't get much stronger. Learning is similar. When you learn something that is a bit hard, it makes your memory stronger. Imagine you are trying to remember new English words. If you just read a list of words again and again, it might feel easy. You read them and you think, yes, I know these words. But later, when you need to use these words, you might forget them. This is like writing in sand, easy to do, but it disappears quickly. Now, imagine you use flashcards to learn the same words. You look at the English word and try to remember the meaning. Sometimes you remember it easily, but sometimes it is hard. You have to think hard to recall the meaning. This hard work, this struggle to remember, is actually good for your brain. It is like lifting weights for your memory. When you work hard to remember something, your memory becomes stronger. When learning is difficult, it means your brain is working hard. This hard work makes your memory connections stronger. These strong connections help you to remember things for a longer time. It's like building a strong muscle. You need to work it hard to make it grow. Don't be afraid when learning English feels hard. It is normal. It is even a good sign. It means you are really learning and making progress. If you only do easy things, you might not learn as well. Sometimes, learning can feel slow and not very productive when it is difficult. You might think you are not learning anything because it is not easy. You might want to go back to easier ways of learning, like just reading again and again. But remember, the hard work is making your learning stronger, even if you don't feel it right away. Think about learning to ride a bike. At first, it is very hard. You fall down, you feel frustrated, but you keep trying, and it is hard work. Then, one day, you can ride, and you remember how to ride for a very long time. The hard work at the beginning is what makes you learn well. So, when you are learning English and it feels difficult, don't give up. Embrace the challenge. Know that the hard work you are doing is making your memory stronger and helping you to learn English better in the long run. Just like lifting weights makes your body stronger, difficult learning makes your brain stronger. Don't be afraid of hard work. It is a sign you are on the right path to learning English well. Do you really know? Have you ever read something again and again and thought, yes, I know this perfectly? Maybe it was a page in your English book or a list of new words. You read it many times. It feels familiar. You think you understand it well, but stop for a moment. Close your book. Can you really explain it in your own words? Can you remember the key points without looking? Sometimes What feels familiar is not the same as what we truly know. Think about something you see every day, like a coin. Imagine a penny. You have seen many pennies in your life. If someone asked you to draw a penny from memory, could you do it easily? Could you remember exactly what side is heads and what side is tails? What words and pictures are on it? It's harder than you think. Even though you have seen pennies thousands of times, you might not really know the details. This is because just seeing something again and again is not always the best way to learn it well. Reading a page many times can make the words look familiar. But familiarity is a trick. It can make you think you know something when you don't really. Imagine you are in a building you know well, maybe your school or your home. Do you know where the fire extinguishers are? Probably you have seen them many times. But if there was a fire, could you quickly find the nearest one without looking for signs? In one study, many people who worked in a building for years could not easily say where the closest fire extinguisher was. They had seen them, but they hadn't really noticed or learned their location until they actively tried to remember. So, how can you know if you really know something in English? The answer is simple. Test yourself. Testing yourself means checking your memory. It's like asking your brain, "Hey, do you really remember this?" Try to remember the new English words without looking at your list. Try to explain a grammar rule without reading the explanation again. This is testing yourself. Testing yourself is much better than just reading again and again. When you test yourself, you are making your brain work harder to find the information. This hard work is good. It makes your memory stronger. It helps you to remember better for longer. Think of it like this. If you only read about riding a bicycle, you might think you know how to ride. But can you actually ride a bicycle without falling? You need to test yourself. You need to get on the bicycle and try. You might fall at first, but that's okay. Testing yourself, even if you make mistakes, helps you learn what you really need to practice. Don't fool yourself into thinking you know something just because it looks familiar. Be honest with yourself. Test yourself. Ask yourself questions. Try to remember without looking. This way, you will find out what you really know and what you still need to study more. Testing is not just for exams. Testing is for learning. It helps you to learn English better and to know, yes, I really know this. Testing yourself is like checking your fuel when you are flying a plane. You need to know if you have enough fuel to reach your destination. In the same way, you need to test yourself to know if you really know English well enough. Don't just guess. Check. Testing helps you to see clearly what you know and what you need to learn next. It's the best way to be sure. Yes, I really know this English. Your learning style, is it real? Have you ever heard someone say, "I'm a visual learner," or "I learn best by doing"? Many people believe that they have a specific learning style. This idea suggests that you learn best when information is given to you in a way that matches your style. The main learning styles are often described as visual, learning by seeing pictures, diagrams, and written words. Auditory, learning by listening to spoken words and sound. Kinesthetic, learning by doing things and through physical activity. It sounds logical, right? Maybe you think you understand things better when you see them in a chart, or when you listen to someone explain them. This idea of learning styles is very popular. Many teachers try to teach in different ways to reach all learning styles. There are even tests you can take to find out your learning style. But is there real proof that learning styles are important for learning English, or anything else? Scientists have studied this idea for many years. They have done research to see if teaching to match learning styles really helps people learn better. The research shows something interesting. Learning styles may not be as important as we think. While it's true that everyone has preferences, some people like to read, others like to listen, it doesn't mean you only learn well in one specific way. Think about learning English words. Is it better to just see the words, visual style, or only hear them, auditory style, or only act them out kinesthetic style. Actually, the best way is to use all of these methods. You can see the word written down, hear someone say it, and then use the word yourself in a sentence or action. It turns out that using different ways to learn is actually better for everyone. Our brains are complex. We learn best when we use different senses and methods. Using your eyes, ears, and hands, using everything, helps your brain make stronger connections and remember things better. Imagine learning to ride a bike. You might watch someone else ride, visual, listen to instructions, auditory, but the most important thing is to actually get on the bike and try kinesthetic. You need all these ways to learn properly. Instead of worrying too much about your learning style, it's more helpful to focus on what works best for learning English itself. Practice speaking, reading, writing, and listening. Try different activities and see which ones help you understand and remember new words and grammar. Don't limit yourself by thinking, I'm only a visual learner. Use all the tools you have. Read books, listen to podcasts, watch movies, talk to people in English, and write stories. Experiment and find the methods that help you learn most effectively. The key is to be active in your learning and use different approaches. In conclusion, while it's interesting to think about learning styles, research suggests they may not be the most important thing for learning English. Focus on using a variety of learning methods and discover what helps you learn best. Use your eyes, your ears, your hands. Use everything. Find what truly works for you, and don't get stuck on just one style. You can learn more. You can always learn more English. It is important to know this. Some people think they are not good at learning languages. They may say, I am just not good at English. But this is not true. You can become better at English. Think about your brain. Your brain is amazing. It can change and learn new things all the time. When you learn something new, like a new English word or grammar rule, your brain changes. New connections are made in your brain. This is how you learn. Do you know that learning itself is also a skill? Just like you can learn to play football or cook tasty food, you can also learn how to learn better. When you practice learning in the right way, you become better at it. It's like exercising your muscles. When you exercise, your muscles get stronger. When you learn in the right way, your brain becomes stronger at learning. Sometimes, learning English can be hard. You might feel like you are not making progress. You might make mistakes. This is normal. Don't think that because learning is hard, you are not good at English. In fact, when learning is a bit hard, it can be very good for you. When you work hard to understand something difficult, it helps you remember it better. It is like walking up a hill. It is harder work than walking on flat ground, but you get to the top and see a better view. So, don't be afraid of hard work when you are learning English. When it feels difficult, it means your brain is working hard and getting stronger. This is a good thing. Believe in yourself. You can improve your English. Don't let negative thoughts stop you. Everyone can learn. It takes time and effort, but you can do it. Use the good ways to learn that you have read about in this book. Practice testing yourself. Practice in different ways. Don't be afraid of challenges. Remember the pilot we talked about in the first chapter? He learned to fly well because he practiced and learned the right skills. Learning English is similar. You need to practice, and you need to use good learning skills. If you do these things, you will see progress. You will learn more. You will become better at English than you are now. So, believe that you can learn more. Work hard. Use good learning methods. You will be surprised at how much you can improve. You have the ability to learn. Now, go and use it. Make learning a habit. In the last chapters, you have learned some new ideas about learning English. These ideas are different from what many people usually do, but they can help you learn English better and remember it for longer. Now, how can you use these ideas every day? How can you make them a part of your English learning routine? First, make testing yourself a habit. Testing is not just for exams. Testing yourself is a powerful way to learn. Try to test yourself every day. After you learn new words, don't just read them again and again. Try to remember them without looking at your notes. Use flashcards to test yourself on vocabulary. Ask yourself questions about grammar rules. For example, if you learned about the present perfect tense, ask yourself, how do I make sentences in the present perfect? When do I use it? Can I give some examples? Testing yourself helps you see what you really know and what you need to study more. Second, practice English in different ways every week. Don't just focus on one thing. Mix it up. One day, study new vocabulary. Another day, work on grammar. Then, practice speaking. After that, do some listening practice. For example, one week you could, Monday, learn 10 new words using flashcards and test yourself. Tuesday, practice grammar, exercises on prepositions. Wednesday, watch a short English video and try to understand it without subtitles. Thursday, speak English with a friend or language partner for 15 minutes. Friday, write a short paragraph in English about your day. By practicing in different ways, you use your brain in different ways too. This helps you learn English more completely. Third, find ways to make learning harder, but better. Easy learning is not always good learning. When learning feels a bit difficult, it means your brain is working hard. This is good. It means you are learning deeply. So don't always choose the easiest way to learn. For example, instead of always reading easy English books, try reading something a little more challenging. When you listen to English, try listening to people speaking faster or with different accents. When you practice speaking, try to talk about more complex topics. Making learning a bit harder can help you improve faster in the long run. Remember to use these ideas for all parts of your English learning. Whether you are learning new words, grammar, speaking, or listening, you can use testing, different practice, and make it a bit harder. These ideas are not just for one part of English, they are for everything. Finally, make learning English a part of your life. Don't just study English for 1 hour and then forget about it. Try to bring English into your daily life. Listen to English music or podcasts when you are traveling. Watch English movies or television shows in your free time. Read English news or websites. Talk to yourself in English when you are doing everyday things. The more you use English in your life, the more natural it will become, and the better you will learn. Learning English is not just something you do in class or with a book. It's something you can do all the time, everywhere. Making learning a habit is not always easy. It takes time and effort. But if you make testing yourself a habit, practice in different ways, and find ways to make learning harder but better, you will see big improvements in your English. And most importantly, you will make learning English a part of your life, not just a task. By the way, we have a full video about English learning habits on our channel named Power of English Habits. Go and check that out after this video to help you achieve your learning goals. Keep learning, keep practicing, and you will reach your English learning goals. 9. Summary and next steps. Congratulations! You have reached the end of this book. In this book, we have talked about how to learn English in a better way. Maybe some of these ideas were new for you. Let's quickly remember the most important things we learned together. First, we saw that learning English can be difficult. Many students make mistakes when they study. But we also learned that there are ways to learn better. Just like a pilot needs the right skills to fly well, you need the right skills to learn English well. One important skill is to test yourself. Don't just read your notes again and again. Test yourself. Try to remember words and grammar without looking. Use flashcards or try to explain things you learned to a friend. Testing helps your memory become stronger, like playing a game with your brain. Another key idea is to practice in different ways. Don't just do the same thing all the time. Mix your English practice. Study new words, then practice grammar, then try to speak. Also, practice a little bit each day, not everything at once. This is called spaced practice, and it helps you remember for longer. We also learned that learning can be hard work, and that's okay. When learning feels difficult, it's often a sign that you are learning well. Don't be afraid of hard work when you study English. Like lifting weights makes your muscles stronger, hard learning makes your memory stronger. It's also important to check if you really know something. Sometimes we think we understand, but we don't really. Don't just think you know something because you read it many times. Test yourself to be sure. This helps you see what you need to study more. We talked about learning styles, and if they are real, it seems that learning styles may not be as important as we thought. It's better to use different ways to learn. Use your eyes, your ears, and practice doing things. Focus on what helps you learn, not just one style. Remember, you can always learn more. Your brain can change and learn new things. Don't think you are bad at English. With good ways to learn and effort, you can get better. Believe in yourself and your ability to learn. To make these ideas work, make learning a habit. Try to test yourself every day. Practice English in different ways each week. Find ways to make your learning a bit harder, but in a good way. Use these ideas in all your English studies. Make learning English a part of your daily life. So, what are the next steps? Keep learning. Use the ideas from this book to help you. Remember to test yourself, practice in different ways, and don't be afraid of hard work. Check what you really know and believe that you can learn. Learning English takes time and effort. There will be times when it feels difficult, but if you keep practicing and use good learning strategies, you will improve. We hope this book has helped you on your English learning journey. And if you want to dive deeper into the book, we've left a link in the comments and description below. Good luck, and keep learning.
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.